I have my CZ-85 here. This is a 1988 model, and it's got a wonderful trigger on it. It's a great gun. It's just not as reliable as I would have cared for at the range. I don't use it in competitions or anything like that, and that's a shame because it points very well and it's got a great trigger on it, especially the double action portion. What seems to occur that prevents it from being completely reliable is a case will only half extract from the barrel about every 10 or 12 rounds after it's warmed up, and then you get a round trying to feed in that presses up on that half extracted case, causing a pretty good jam. So the fix for this gun here is going to be the extractor. Well, actually the spring in behind the extractor. So I've got some Wolf springs that came in. I got 3 extractors here. So 3 extractor springs, and I will install one of them in here as well. The early CZs had weaker springs in them. So we are going to pull this one out and put the new springs in it and see if that fixes our problem. And while we're at it, we've got an 18-pound recoil spring to install in it. So in order to do that, we've got to take this sucker down. Pretty straightforward gun to take down. Line the witness marks. Remove the body of the gun. Well, we'll just put that aside. Here's what we're working on today. So what we're going to do is, of course, remove the spring here, get the barrel out. We're also going to remove the firing pin and replace the spring in there. And then from the top, I'm not sure if you can see that from this angle here, we're going to use a punch and knock this pin through, removing the extractor and the spring in behind it. Okay, so we might as well get started. Alright, just push that off to the side here. Actually, I'm going to take the factory spring, remove it, put the new spring on. Okay, either side seems to fit. Alright, that's my best guess for which side should go on which. There's the barrel. The gun actually needs a cleaning, but we'll take care of that afterwards. So now I'm just going to knock the pin out here, get to the extractor. I've got a little punch here, and I'm just looking for my mallet. There we go. We've got a little space underneath here, so there we are. So there, the pin pulls out nicely, and I'm just going to leave the pin in here. Actually, no, remove that. Extractor comes out. Push that off to the side, and then remove the stock spring right here. So we're going to take a little toothbrush and some action cleaner, and then clean up in here. Make sure that's nice and tidy. That needs to be done every now and then on one of these handguns anyway. But before we do that, we might as well take the last moving parts off of this thing. We're going to depress here where the hammer strikes on the firing pin, which gives us the opportunity of moving this gate here. So that just slides right out, and I'm just going to put my finger over here so the firing pin doesn't break the lens on the camera, and release the firing pin. You can't really see that with my hand's in the way, so I remove this little gate out of here. The firing pin comes out, and then a spring. So I know that's clean in there because I just cleaned it. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the firing pin spring. We're going to put the firing pin on top. You'll notice that there's a little cutout on that. That just helps you align the firing pin. I'm going to take advantage of some extra tools here. use my punch to press down, and I have to move my hand so you can see what's going on. So I've used my punch to press I've used the back of my punch to press the firing pin down, and now I'm going to put this little gate back, or firing pin stop, whatever you might call it. Okay, and I've got it partially on there. So what I need to do is get it in all the way, pressing it down, and there we go. Very straightforward, very 1911-ish, right? Well, certainly before the 80 series, I don't think that's much different than doing a 70 series 1911. Anyway, so I got a new firing pin spring in there, so I've got my spring here, and I'm going to use my pin here to guide it back into the firearm. There's a little recess in here for the spring. Now it's quite a bit more stout than the other one, so this is going to be interesting for me trying to get the extractor back in. You've got to bring it out across over here because the hook that grabs the brass does extend down below, so it will catch on that if you're not putting it in correctly. And what I found, the best way of doing this is putting your punch in and then feeling until you get it in to the right spot. Nope. So I'm going to wrestle with this on camera here for a bit. Alright, so this part of the exercise will probably go off camera for a moment. Now the hole is through and through, so you can use that as a visual cue of when to put your pin back in. But again, I'm going to use the punch to hold it in place so I can drive the pin back through. There. Alright, so what I've done is just pressed it in as best I could until I could get it to line up, and then put my punch through. What that does is it holds it in place nicely until I can drive my pin through. I'm just going to back that out a bit so it's still holding the pin, or the extractor, pardon me, and then I can put the pin in over here. I'm going to give it a couple of wallops with the mallet, and see how we're doing here. There it is. So now the pin is in far enough, I can remove the punch, turn it around and use the punch to get it flush with the bottom of the slide stop here, or get it flush with the bottom of the slide here. As we have a new firing pin spring in there, we have an extractor spring, and then now we're going to put the recoil spring in. So there we go, we've got the slide put back together. Assemble the handgun. I'm going to line up my two witness marks here, and my 1988 CZ has a heavier recoil spring in there, a heavier firing pin spring, and a heavier extractor spring. So what I'm hoping this is going to do is give some new life to this pistol. Anyway, so we're going to take this out to the range and put 200 rounds through it and see how reliable it is. Great handgun.